Good evening and welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. I hope everyone is doing well on this Wednesday evening. We're back with another show to bring you guys tonight. But before we do that, do me one small favour, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let's get straight on into it. So on the show tonight, we're going to be talking about a potential swap deal with Mason Greenwood and a player from Barcelona. We'll also be talking a bit about Anthony Martial and his future at Manchester United after he's been struck with another massive injury blow. We'll be talking about that. And then on the flip side of that, it looks like Manchester United are going to push the button on the signing of Choupo-Moting from Bayern Munich. So we will, of course, be giving our thoughts on that. I'll be asking for you guys' opinions as always. So yeah, make sure to get in the comment section, guys. Let me know your thoughts on everything we discuss on today's show. Let me know your thoughts on Anthony Martial, on Choupo-Moting. And if there's anything, just around Manchester United that you want to say, just feel free to do it. I always read through all the comments, so get involved and let me know what your thoughts are. Some other bits of injury news, some other bits of transfer news to go through as well. So lots and lots to get into, and let's get straight on into it. So let's start the show off with this. There is a big story that broke earlier on today saying that apparently Anthony Martial is going to be out for 10 weeks. He had a hip injury. He's apparently had surgery today and he will be out of action for the minimum of 10 weeks. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? There's not really too much we can do about this. This is coming from the club directly. It says Manchester United confirm that Anthony Martial has undergone surgery today and is expected to be out for at least 10 weeks. I mean, if you do 10 weeks from today's date, right? Let's do this quickly together. So 10 weeks from today would be about mid-April. The season finishes mid-May. So best case scenario, he'll be back about 4 weeks before the season ends. That's best case scenario. And knowing Anthony Martial, it will blatantly be longer than 10 weeks because he's always seems to be injured. Our last game of the season let's have a quick look. Our last game of the season is on the 19th of May. Anthony Martial's due back mid-April. So best case scenario, he probably would be available for maybe 4 or 5 games at the very end of the season when probably there'll be nothing to play for realistically other than pride. Yeah, it is where we are. And obviously, for anybody who's unaware, Martial's contract expires in the summer. It expires in June. He's going to be injured till April. He'll come back and then he'll leave as a free agent. So it's effectively the end of Anthony Martial at Manchester United, but it's not the outcome that some of us were hoping for. It's not the outcome where he left in January for a transfer fee. It's not the outcome where we removed his 250 grand a week wages. It's the outcome where Anthony Martial stays at the club for another 6 months, effectively doing nothing, being paid £250,000 a week to effectively recover from being injured, which I know people will say you can't help it and all the rest of it, but he's been injured pretty much 50% of the time over the last 2 or 3 seasons. And when he has been available, he hasn't performed. So it's frustrating, but he'll be somebody else's problem in June. But yeah, so on the flip side of this, the headline this afternoon and going into this evening is that because of this injury, Manchester United are set to imminently make a move for Bayern Munich striker Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting. Now, we have set up a poll, which you can, of course, get involved with. It's a simple question. Do you want Choupo-Moting at Manchester United? It's a yes or no answer. If you're watching this back on repeat, get in the comment section. Let me know if you think Choupo-Moting is a good deal or not. I mean, when you look at it like this, right? If we had Anthony Martial available, obviously we could probably make do with Martial and Rasmus Højlund. But if you just have Rasmus Højlund, what happens if he gets injured? I mean, if he gets injured, you're probably playing Rashford as a striker. But to go into the second half of the season with only Rasmus Højlund and no Anthony Martial is probably not the wisest. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. But the headline this evening is that Man United are going to now really, really push to sign Choupo-Moting. Apparently he wants to join Manchester United. Apparently he's open to the move. From what I'm hearing, Bayern Munich aren't that happy to let him go. Now, what I think will have to happen here, which I think might rustle some feathers, is that I think Man United will have to pay a transfer fee because the issue of Choupo-Moting is his contract expires in June. So if Manchester United were to loan him now, it doesn't really make sense for Bayern Munich. Why would they loan him? Because his contract expires in 5 months anyway. So I think Manchester United would have to buy him off Bayern Munich. I think that's what would have to happen Just like Bayern Munich did with Eric Dyer. Eric Dyer had 6 months left of his contract, and Tottenham said, you're welcome to him, but because he's only got 6 months left of his contract, you're going to have to pay a transfer fee. I think they paid a couple of £1 million for him, and they only have signed him until June 2024, Eric Dyer. So Bayern Munich have effectively signed Eric Dyer on a 6-month deal and paid a fee to Tottenham for that. I think it'll be a similar situation with Manchester United, where we will sign him. He'll become a Manchester United player. Because otherwise, for Choupo-Moting, he joins Manchester United on loan, and then effectively he's a free agent in June. Like, it's not really a very favourable deal. Whereas if we sign him now, you give him a 6-month contract with the option of an extra year, it's effectively the same thing as loaning him. It's no different. Bayern Munich would expect a loan fee if we were to loan him. So we just give them 1 or 2 million probably, and then we obviously have to cover his wages. So let me know what you guys think about that one. I will read out some of your comments in a minute. Let's see what people are saying this evening. Somebody says Benzema is much better. Choupo-Moting is not good enough. I agree with you, mate. Benzema is a world-class striker, but the issue with Benzema is that he's going to cost us probably... I mean, he's being paid £3.3 million a week in the Saudi League at the moment, Benzema. Just let that sink in for a minute. 3.3 million a week. I think it works out about £130 million a year. We're sat here complaining that Casemiro's on 350 grand a week. Benzema's paid 10 times the amount of what our highest earning player is at the moment. I just think that Benzema to Manchester United, unless he was going to take a massive wage reduction, was never going to happen. And if I'm Benzema, why would you do that? Why would you reduce your wages by probably 10% to come and play for a club who are out of the Champions League, aren't in the Europa League, are not going to win the Premier League, obviously, because we're sat in 8th at the moment, are out of the League Cup, and our only hope of a trophy is the FA Cup. And we're still very, very early on. You know, it's not like he could go to a Liverpool or an Arsenal or somebody who actually has the opportunity to win something this season. Now, I hope we win the FA Cup. I hope this year is our year. But if I'm Karim Benzema, am I really going to take, a massive, massive wage reduction, 90% of my wages removed, to go and play for a team who are probably going to be battling for 5th or 6th? Like, it doesn't make sense. Just think about it for yourself logically. He's way more likely to go to somewhere like Arsenal, PSG, someone who are still kind of competing in their respective leagues. But I agree with you though, my friend. I do agree that, Benzema would be a better option, but from a financial perspective, it would be a stupid move for Manchester United. It would completely clean us out financially, and then we'd go into the summer with even worse finances than we do now. So I can see why Choupo-Moting is, the player that we're going to go for. It's an easy deal to do. His salary is low compared to obviously someone like Karim Benzema. I'm just having a quick look now. Choupo-Moting's current wage at Bayern Munich is about 100,000 a week, which obviously that's it's ridiculous amounts of money. But when you compare 100,000 a week for Choupo-Moting versus 3.3 million a week for Benzema, like, it's not really comparable, is it? So I'm not going to sit here and be excited about Choupo-Moting, but the fact that Anthony Martial is out for 10 weeks, he's probably never going to wear a Manchester United shirt again, effectively. The season ends in 14 weeks, and he's going to be out for a minimum of 10 of them. So we do have to do business. Can I think of anybody else? Not really. I mean, people would say Benjamin Sesko. People will say, Victor Osimhen. I mean, these are all unrealistic targets in a January transfer window when we have no money. We are shopping in the bargain aisle, and unfortunately, Choupo-Moting is he is in the bargain aisle, isn't he? He's in the reduced aisle in the supermarket. When you go to the supermarket late at night and they've got all like the sandwiches that no one's eaten that day, like Choupo-Moting is in that area, unfortunately for him, just like Wout Weghorst was. Somebody in the chat saying, why don't we just bring Mason Greenwood back? Mate, it's not going to happen. The general gist of it from the club, from Manchester United officially, is that Mason Greenwood doesn't have a future at Manchester United. And that there was even a story this morning saying they're committed to move him on in the summer window and that he will be sold or got rid of. So Mason Greenwood coming back is not going to happen, I don't think. Now, we've spoke about him so many times on the show. Obviously, he is in the thumbnail and he is in the title, so we'll talk about that now. The headline this afternoon is that apparently Manchester United are going to try and do a swap deal with Barcelona. Obviously, we know that Barcelona are really, really interested in signing Mason Greenwood. He's had a good season so far at Getafe in the Liga, but will that deal happen or not? I'm not sure. But what I am sure about is that Mason Greenwood will leave Manchester United, I think. I mean, I'm not sure. That's just my opinion, Obviously, I might be wrong. Maybe Jim Ratcliffe comes in and says, the first thing I'm going to do is bring Mason Greenwood back. I just don't for a second believe that would happen. Florian says, how can we always have no money to buy players in January? January is always a difficult window because obviously they want to comply with financial fair play and stuff. We have bought players in January, and I think there is this myth that we've never bought anyone in January. We bought Bruno Fernandes for 50 odd million. We brought Juan Mata for 50 million. I think we bought Vidic in January, obviously many, many years ago. So we have done business in January before, but I think the key thing is that you have to sell players. So if, for example, we'd sold Anthony Martial, Donny van de Beek had gone on a permanent deal, Jadon Sancho had gone on a permanent deal, and McTominay had gone on a permanent deal in January, for actual money, we would have then gone out and spent money. But so far this window, right, if you look through it, we've loaned out Jadon Sancho and we're still paying most of his salary. We've loaned out Donny van de Beek. We're still paying most of his salary. We've loaned out Hannibal. I think we're still paying most of his salary. Like, the list goes on and on and on. Other than that, it's like Dan Gore's gone out on loan. There isn't any money being brought in. We're just reducing our wage bill. That's it. We're not actually receiving transfer fees for these deals. We're still paying Jadon Sancho half of his wages. Like, just let that sink in for a second. So, although it looks like people have left in this window, Sancho, Donny van de Beek, etc., etc., we aren't any better off really than we were before financially. Rock Music says, in my opinion, you should be on a reduced wage the longer you are injured. That's the case with most jobs. Most private jobs, you don't even get it. Martial is permanently injured. He's been robbing a living. Mate, I agree 100%. And I think that Manchester United need to, instill a new tactic, a new method where going forward, it's kind of like you get paid based on how much you play. You get bonuses based on goals. I know Arsenal have recently introduced a similar thing where every player will have a kind of base salary. So I don't know, it'll be Saka might be on 150 grand a week, but for every goal he gets, he'll get an extra 50 grand. For every assist he gets X amount. And that's what United need to do. We gave Marcus Rashford 375 grand in the summer on a new contract. Like, it was a stupid decision to make. I think he's got 1 or 2 goals in the Premier League this season. That's not the type of money that a 375 grand... those are not the amount of goals that a 375 grand a week player should be, receiving. When you think about it, you look around the Premier League, Elanga's got more goals than him, and he's probably on about 50 grand a week. You look at people like Elise at Crystal Palace, like, he's doing much better. The same with Anthony. Anthony's on 200,000 a week at United. He hasn't scored or assisted once in 20 odd games in the Premier League. Like, it's not good enough. Richie says, Kieran, did you know a board meeting Monday after the West Ham deal? Apparently Jim is going to speak about his vision for Manchester United and about Ten Hag. Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. So there was a story from The Athletic this afternoon, which is, of course, a very, very good publication here in the UK. And they are reporting that an official announcement will be made about Erik Ten Hag's future as soon as Jim Ratcliffe has been confirmed as the new 25% owner. So as it stands at the moment, he hasn't technically bought the 25% yet. It hasn't all gone through 100%. It needs to be confirmed by the Premier League's owners test thing that they do. So as soon as that happens, apparently he's going to put out a statement. I don't think that that's going to be that Erik Ten Hag's going to be sacked personally, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he comes in and says, we want to completely clean up, we want a clean shop. We want a new people, a new director of football, a new CEO. Everything's going to start again. Now, my understanding is that Erik Ten Hag will be given to the summer, but we're expecting, We're expecting Jim Ratcliffe to be announced as the kind of partial new owner, kind of mid-February, right? If you look at the games that we have between then and now, you go through them. Newport County, okay, obviously we have to win that. If we don't win that on Sunday, then it's obviously an absolute embarrassment. You've then got Wolves. I said to you on the show this morning, if we were to lose to Wolves away from home, which I wouldn't be surprised if we do, Wolves should have beaten us at Old Trafford on the first day of the season. Wolves are a good side and they're difficult to beat at Molineux, right? If they were to beat us, I think it's next Thursday, we would go down to 11th place in the table because Wolves are, I think, 10th and they would go above us. So by the time Jim Ratcliffe is kind of 100% in the door and the paperwork is all signed, we could be 11th in the Premier League. I mean, our run of games after that is just as bad. You've got West Ham who are doing really well, obviously just signed Calvin Phillips. and as well as a couple of other players. They've really strengthened in this window. And then we've got Aston Villa away from home. I mean, that's probably going to be a loss realistically, isn't it? So it'll be interesting to see what Jim Ratcliffe comes out with and whether he does back Erik ten Hag. I mean, obviously I support Erik ten Hag, and I hope that we beat Newport, we beat Wolves, we beat West Ham, and then, you know, Jim Ratcliffe comes out and says that we're sticking behind him. But I think it's a difficult position for Erik ten Hag, because one or two more bad results between now and when Jim Ratcliffe is, you know, 100% in the door, I think he could be in big trouble. I really, really do. Malp says, if Newport County beat us on Sunday, that'll be the final nail in the coffin for Erik ten Hag. I do agree with you, to be honest. I don't really see how he could come back from losing to a League Two side. Like, that is embarrassing. I'm sorry. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. I'm obviously fully behind Erik ten Hag, but I know quite a lot of people who watch the show want him gone, which is fine. That's up to you. But let's see what else people are saying. Everyone who's just joined, by the way, please smash a like on the video and subscribe if you are new. Get involved. It doesn't cost any money, so please do that. Let's see what people are saying in the chat quickly. Lumen says, Kieran, do you think it would be wise for Jim Ratcliffe to directly get involved in the buying of players just like Bowley did at Chelsea? No, I think that would be absolutely terrible if he was to do that. I think he needs to bring in the best in class. Omar Barada is the best in class. I'm excited about that. He needs to bring in Dan Ashworth. He needs to bring in Paul Mitchell. He needs to bring in, you know, new recruitment people, new scouts, and all the rest of it. I don't want to see Jim Ratcliffe buying a single one of these players. I want him to be employing people who can make those decisions for him, okay? That's what needs to happen. Let Jim Ratcliffe go and watch the games and enjoy it. He shouldn't have any involvement in scouting players and all the rest of it. Like, we don't need that. Kieran, Malp says, do you reckon we'll get anyone before the window closes? Yeah, we'll get Choupo-Moting. That's my understanding. We're not going to sign anybody on a permanent deal. Martial's staying. You know, Anthony's not going anywhere. Varane's not going anywhere. Like, all of the people who have been speculated to be leaving over the kind of transfer window, I think will stay. I think the only deal that will happen will be Choupo-Moting will join Manchester United, and that will probably be, I think it will be next week, because the thing you always have to remember, right, in the January window is, right, we played Tottenham Hotspur on the 14th of January. We didn't have another game for 2 weeks then. Our next game is obviously on Sunday. So there's a 2-week gap between our game against Tottenham and the game against Newport. It makes zero sense for Manchester United to bring in a player then, be paying them probably 100, 200 grand a week, depending on who the player is, for them effectively to just not be playing football and to be off on holiday, because there's always a winter break in the Premier League at this time of year. So I can see why they've left it late. I imagine that he will sign after the Newport County game. That would be my guess. I think maybe the 29th or 30th, that deal for Choupo-Moting will be formalised. And as I said earlier on in the show, I think it will be done as a permanent deal, but they'll only give him a contract maybe till June. Go and have a look at how the Eric Dyer deal worked and you'll understand where I'm coming from. But let's see what else people are saying in the chat. Fran says we should swap Greenwood for De Jong. I mean, I'd love to do that. That would be incredible. See what else. Connor says Greenwood is so good, we shouldn't swap him. Look what he's doing in Liga. We've spoke about Greenwood so many times on this channel, my friend. Like, Mason Greenwood is not going to come back to Manchester United, I don't think. I'd be absolutely stunned if he does. Lumen says Lumen says, Kieran, isn't signing Choupo-Moting a bad publicity statement for Jim Ratcliffe, as well as we all expected a statement signing? Well, the thing you have to remember, Lumen, is Jim Ratcliffe hasn't bought his 25% yet. As I said a couple of minutes ago, right? It's expected to go through mid-February. The transfer window ends the last day of January. There's about 7 days left. So Choupo-Moting isn't a Jim Ratcliffe signing. He would have been part of a plan from before, because technically Jim Ratcliffe hasn't even bought the 25% yet. So you have to remember that. Big ups to Rocco Music. Says, great channel, mate. Very informative. I watch a lot of United fan channels, mostly Stretford, Paddock and Webby and O'Neill, but I have been watching a lot of your videos lately. Keep it up, mate. Thank you very much for the support, guys. Thank you to everyone who watches every single day. I really, really do appreciate it. Anything people can do to support is, of course, appreciated, whether that's just liking, sharing it with friends, whatever. That's always, of course, appreciated. And yeah, so big ups to all of you. I'm going to wrap the video up here. I will be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. as usual for the morning show, and then obviously I'll be back in the evening again tomorrow about 6 o'clock for this show. So obviously if anything breaks, I always go live. So make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, smash a like on the video before you go. Have a good evening, everybody. This has been Daily Red Devil, and I will speak to you all a bit later.